Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to online classes of Iqra Hufaz Boys Secondary Schools and Colleges, a project of Iqra Education System. Now dear brothers, this is part 6 in the series of video lectures on topic translation. Yesterday we discussed about the passive sentences and how to translate them into English. Today in this video lecture, I am going to give you a little review about conditional sentences, and then we will discuss how to translate them into English. You have to remember 4 points written before you on the board. Number 1, you always have to identify the tense, you have to identify the case, you have to apply the rules of that particular tense, and then you have to translate the sentence. Now let's look at conditional sentences. What is a conditional sentence? A conditional sentence is actually a complex sentence. You remember we discussed about compound and complex sentences? A sentence with two simple sentences joined by a conjunction is called either a compound or a complex. What is the difference between compound and complex? When these two simple sentences are joined by a subordinate conjunction, it is called complex sentence. And when these two simple sentences are joined by a coordinating conjunction, it is called a compound sentence. So what I am saying to you people here, conditional sentence is actually a complex sentence. This is a sentence with two simple sentences joined by a subordinating conjunction, mostly if as a conjunction in which one action depends upon the other action. A conditional sentence in which one action depends upon the other action. For example, अगर बारिश होगी मैं बाहर जाऊंगा, मेरा बाहर जाना डिपेंड करता है बारिश के होने पे, अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस सेंटेंस. इसी तरह अगर तुम मेहनत करोगे तुम कामयाब होगे, तो तुम्हारा कामयाब होना डिपेंड करता है तुम्हारी मेहनत करने पर. अगर तुम पार्टी में आते तुम एंजॉय करते हैं, तो तुम्हारा एंजॉय करना डिपेंड करता था तुम्हारे पार्टी में आने पे. सो ऑल सच sentences are called conditional sentence in which we put one condition and that condition is possible to happen or imaginary to happen depending upon the other sentence given or the other half of the sentence, which is another simple sentence. Now I am going to tell you people about the types of conditional sentence in detail. You people have already studied these 3 types in your earlier classes. I am giving you a review of these 3 types in conditional sentence. Type number 1, you can see it's written on the board before you. Type number 1 is actually a possible or factual condition. And the formula of this type 1 is if plus present simple. This is present simple, this is the first simple sentence, and then will clause, it means future simple. I have written will clause here. Clause means one simple sentence in a compound or a complex sentence. Now you can understand, if there are two simple sentences in compound or complex sentence, so these simple sentences are not called sentences anymore, they are called clauses. Clause mean, in short or in easy words, a part of a compound or a complex sentence. I hope you understand this. Clause is one simple sentence in a compound or a complex sentence. So if there are two simple sentences in compound or complex sentence, there are two clauses. We call them clauses, not sentences anymore, because these two sentences make up a bigger sentence. So these two sentences are no more sentences, they are called clauses. So two clauses make a compound or a complex sentence. I hope you understand now. So for type 1, I told you this is possible or factual condition. Any condition given in a conditional sentence, if that is possible to happen or if it is fact, a truth, then you will use type 1, and the formula is before you, if plus present simple and then will clause. For type 2, if there is an impossible or imaginary condition given in the conditional sentence, this is called type 2, and the formula is if plus past simple, comma, would clause. It means would plus first form, and that's it. Type number 3, unreal or imaginary condition, and the formula is if plus past perfect, comma, would have clause. Here I will tell you Type 1 and type 2. These two types talk about present or future. Type 3 talks about past. Now remember, type 1 and type 2 talk about present or future. Type 3 talks about past. I am only giving you a review. You know it better. You people have studied these condition types in your earlier classes. So I'm not going to detail that how these type 1, 2 and 3 actually work or function. I'm only going through or taking you people through the formula just to remind you. So there are three types, 1, 2 and 3. Number 1, possible factual condition. Number 2, impossible or imaginary condition. And number 3, unreal or imaginary condition. Let's go through the sentences that how you can identify an Urdu sentence whether it belongs to present type 1, type 2 or type 3 and how you can translate them into English. Here you are with examples of type 1. You must remember the formula of present simple and will clause in type 1. Sentence number 1, अगर बारिश होगी हम पिकनिक पर जाएंगे. You know, we always use present simple with if, and in the next clause we use future simple. If it rains, we will go for picnic. Sentence number 2, अगर तुम मेहनत करोगे तुम कामयाब होगे. If you work hard, you will succeed. Sentence number 3, अगर तुम जल्दी सोगे तुम जल्दी उठोगे. If you sleep early, you will get up early. Okay, I am going to tell you how you can identify an Urdu sentence whether it belongs to type 1, 2 or 3. You will go through an Urdu sentence, and if there is agar, so it means this is a conditional sentence. Then you will read the agar sentence. आप अगर sentence को पढ़ेंगे, अगर के जुमले में फ्यूचर की बात हो रही होगी. अगर बारिश होगी, अगर तुम मेहनत करोगे, अगर तुम जल्दी सोओगे, अगर तुम मुझे बताओगे, अगर तुम आ जाओगे, अगर तुम खाना खाओगे, अगर तुम क्रिकेट खेलोगे, अगर तुम पढ़ाई करोगे. So you can see all these sentences of agar belong to future. So this is a clear identification of type 1. I hope you understand. Now we will go through the examples of type 2. Now here are the examples of type 2. Remember the formula if plus past simple and then would clause. अगर बारिश हुई हम पिकनिक पर जाएंगे. If it rained, if plus past simple, if it rained then would clause, we would go for picnic. Sentence number 2, अगर तुमने मेहनत की तुम कामयाब होगे. If you worked hard, if plus past simple, okay, and then would clause, you would succeed, would plus first form. Sentence number 3, अगर तुम जल्दी सोए तुम जल्दी उठोगे. If you slept early, you would get up early. Here, for your identification or for your help, I would tell you how to identify Urdu sentence whether it belongs to type 1, type 2 or type 3. अगर के जुमले में जो जुमला लिखा हुआ है, अगर बारिश हुई, अगर तुमने मेहनत की, अगर तुम जल्दी सोए. देखें टाइप 1 में यही अगर के जुमले फ्यूचर की बात कर रहे थे. अगर बारिश होगी, अगर तुम मेहनत करोगे, अगर तुम जल्दी सोओगे. जबकि यहाँ टाइप 2 की उर्दू में आ रहा है अगर बारिश हुई, अगर तुमने मेहनत की, अगर तुम जल्दी सोए. अगर हम अगर को हटा दें इन तीनों जुमलों में से तो बताइए कि जुमला क्या रह जाता है. जी, बारिश हुई, इट रेन्स. तुमने मेहनत की, यू वर्कड हार्ड. तुम जल्दी सोए, यू स्लेप्ट अर्ली. आप देख सकते हैं अगर को हटाने से उर्दू का जुमला खुद पास्ट सिंपल का हो गया. तो ये बता रहे हैं हमें कि इफ के साथ पास्ट सिंपल आएगा. इफ इट रेन्स, इफ यू वर्कड हार्ड, इफ यू स्लेप्ट अर्ली. I hope you have understood how to identify Urdu sentence whether it belongs to type 1 or type 2. दोबारा बता देता हूँ एक दफ़ा. अगर का जुमला अगर फ्यूचर का होगा तो टाइप 1, अगर का जुमला अगर पास्ट का होगा तो टाइप 2. अगर बारिश हुई टाइप 2, अगर बारिश होगी टाइप 1, अगर तुमने मेहनत की टाइप 2, अगर तुम मेहनत करोगे टाइप 1, अगर तुम जल्दी सोए टाइप 2, अगर तुम जल्दी सोगे टाइप 1. Now let's go through the examples of type number 3. Now here you can see type number 3. Remember the formula if plus past perfect and then would have clause. With would have we always use past participle form, which means third form of verb. Sentence number 1, अगर बारिश होती हम पिकनिक पर जाते. if plus past perfect. If it had rained, past perfect, we use past participle form with had as an auxiliary verb. If it had rained, we would have gone for picnic. Sentence number 2, अगर तुम मेहनत करते तुम कामयाब हो जाते. If you had worked hard, you would have succeeded. Sentence number 3, अगर तुम जल्दी सोते तुम जल्दी उठते. If you had slept early, you would have got up early. Now for your help, I would tell you how to identify type 3 sentence in Urdu. This sentence itself says something did not happen in the past. अगर बारिश होती, it means बारिश नहीं हुई. हम पिकनिक पर जाते, it means हम पिकनिक पर नहीं गए. टाइप 3 का सेंटेंस खुद आपको बताएगा कि ये पास्ट का सेंटेंस है, पास्ट की बात हो रही है जिसमें एक काम नहीं हुआ, अगर होता तो ऐसा होता. So this is why this is unreal or imaginary condition. Unreal means जो काम माजी में नहीं हुआ. तो आप देख सकते हैं तीनों सेंटेंसेस में उर्दू के, अगर बारिश होती, अगर तुम मेहनत करते, अगर तुम जल्दी सोते, तीनों सेंटेंसेस से पता चल रहा है कि ये पास्ट के सेंटेंसेस हैं. पास्ट के एक्शन की बात हो रही है, ऐसा एक्शन जो पास्ट में नहीं हुआ और इनकी वजह से दूसरा कोई एक्शन नहीं हुआ. Now I am going to give you a couple of more sentences in Urdu as an exercise, but this time I will not translate them into English. You will yourselves translate these sentences into English after identifying the correct type, whether it belongs to, this sentence belongs to type 1, 2 or 3. Here we are with some more sentences, and this time you people will identify an Urdu sentence as type 1, type 2 or type 3 of conditional sentence, and you will yourselves translate these sentences into English. But I am giving you some hints about these sentences to understand. Like sentence number 1, अगर डॉक्टर वक्त पर आ जाता मरीज ना मरता. What you all have to do is you have to look for the first sentence, which means if sentence, whether it belongs to type 1, type 2 or type 3. अगर डॉक्टर वक्त पर आ जाता, does it belong to future? If it belongs to future, type 1. If this sentence अगर डॉक्टर वक्त पर आ जाता belongs to past simple, then this is type 2. But if it belongs to unreal past, it is type 3. अब आप बताइए कि आपको क्या समझ में आ रहा है. अगर डॉक्टर वक्त पर आ जाता मरीज ना मरता. Yes, very right, very correct. Here अगर का जो जुमला दिया हुआ है वो unreal past की बात कर रहा है, an action in the past that did not take place. So this sentence belongs to conditional type 3. For your understanding, what you can do first, you can identify all the 10 sentences as type 1, type 2 or type 3. Then you can translate them into English, like I am doing here on the board. You can see here in front of sentence number 1, I have written type number 3 for my later understanding that this sentence belongs to type 3. I have already identified it. So first you can identify all the 10 sentences at type 1, 2, 3 and then you can translate them. अब जब आपने इसको type number 3 के तौर पे identify कर लिया तो आपको पता कि formula क्या लगेगा भाई. If plus past perfect, comma, would have clause. If plus past perfect, अगर डॉक्टर वक्त पर आ जाता, if doctor had come on time, मरीज ना मरता, patient would not have died, would have clause in negative. If doctor had come on time, patient would not have died. Sentence number 2, अगर तुमने सच बोला मैं तुम्हें माफ कर दूंगा. Which type does this sentence belong to? अगर तुमने सच बोला, सिर्फ अगर का जुमला देख लेंगे आपको समझ में आ जाएगा टाइप 1 है, टाइप 2 है, टाइप 3 है. अच्छा, अगर तुमने सच बोला, तुमने सच बोला, पास्ट की बात हो रही है, फ्यूचर की बात हो रही है. तुमने सच बोला, तुम सच बोलोगे नहीं, तुमने सच बोला. यस, दिस बिलोंग्स टू पास्ट. सो अगर तुमने सच बोला, दिस इज टाइप 2. अगर तुमने सच बोला मैं तुम्हें माफ कर दूंगा. इफ यू टोल्ड द ट्रूथ, आई वुड फॉरगिव यू. सेंटेंस नंबर 3, अगर आसिफ आएगा हम बाजार जाएंगे. अगर हटा दें आसिफ आएगा, फ्यूचर की बात हो रही है. सो दिस इज टाइप 1. इफ आसिफ कम्स, वी विल गो टू द मार्केट. I have helped you in 3 sentences, the remaining you will do yourselves, but I will read them for you. अगर शाजिया ने कपड़े धोए, अम्मी उसकी तारीफ करेंगी. अगर तुम मुझे इत्तला कर देते मैं तुम्हें ले लेता, अगर हम गाय लाएंगे हम उसकी देखभाल करेंगे, अगर पुलिस ने चोर को पकड़ा अदालत उसे सज़ा देगी, अगर मैं दुबई गया मैं तुम्हारे तहाइफ लाऊंगा, अगर मुझे पता होता मैं छतरी ले लेता। एंड द लास्ट सेंटेंस, अगर आप लेक्चर गौर से सुनेंगे आप ये जुमले बना लेंगे। This is not only the last sentence but my last suggestion and advice to you people also. So my dear brothers, we have covered conditional sentences and its translation today with type 1, 2 and 3. In the next lecture and the last lecture in the series of translation, that is fixed sentences, we will be meeting tomorrow inshallah ta'ala. Till then, take very good care of yourselves. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.